Welcome to the Metal and Miniatures podcast, where we take a jack of all trades, master of none approach to podcasting topics.
I'm Josh.
And I'm John. I guess our topic for this week is our own podcast.
Yeah, our fourth podcast.
We're going to put on our narcissist hats.
Yes, we've gone long enough not talking about ourselves. I just can't take it anymore.
Right. So we decided that it was about time that we kind of threw ourselves out there, not just as, talking about a particular topic, but really trying to talk about ourselves and the podcast specifically.
Yeah.
To try to, give the 5 people who might be listening to this, a foundation to understand, what we're trying to bring to the table, what we wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean,
et cetera, et cetera.
It's maybe against popular belief, and the 5 that listen to us would not all about just talking about ourselves. We kind of want to have different topics and hopefully make it interesting.
Right. Right. Well, I think it's important for us to share some good news with people who might have been listening up to us. Do you want to share the good news with everybody?
I don't know what the good news is. I'd love to share it, but if you tell me what it is, then
it has to do with our sound quality.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what the good news is, but I don't want to say that, and you'd be like, "That's who cares?"
No,
but actually, people will. So, in thinking about, we're gonna bring this up, but think about what makes a good podcast. I've been listening to some podcasts, and me being a music guy, I realized sound's important. And listening to our other ones, it's pretty low quality. So we have equipment. I had some equipment. Part of the equipment I just didn't think about using it.
Right.
But I looked around, found my mic, and we got some stuff. So it'll actually sound a little bit better. Hopefully next time, maybe.
We're crossing our fingers.
Yeah, I mean,
we've done a small test run of the new equipment, and it sounds infinitely better. We just don't have all that equipment as of right now.
Yeah, it's being put together as we speak, so I think in the long run it'll sound great. We'll be shitting in high cotton, as I like to say.
That's good. So stick with us. We know that the sound isn't the best, but we're working hard to fix that. Josh has done a really good job of
plugging things in and talking into them. I think it's going to be great.
Okay. Yeah, so that's good news for us.
So stay tuned. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the podcast. I think we should start off with the name.
Yeah.
Metal and Miniatures.
Yeah.
So why don't you start it out? Why the name?
Well,
what's in the name?
I don't even know exactly how it came about, like what we were talking about exactly. Because I don't know if we were just like thinking of names for the podcast or what, but I mean, when it boils down to is I like metal, heavy metal, music for people who don't know. That's what that is.
Yeah.
And John here, I'm going to let you explain yours because I don't want to do any disgrace to you, so I'm just going to let you take over and explain yours.
Yours sounds so cool.
Like
I like metal.
I like metal, and then people are going to be like, boom, he's a badass. So
yeah,
miniatures. Let's.
Yeah, I like to paint little army men, basically, little miniatures. That's a hobby of mine that I use to kind of mentally relax.
Listen, it's probably even more badass than metal, just to, to clear the air. Serious. No. Serious. Go on.
Oh, okay. I think that's it. I don't have anything else. This is what I remember when we were trying to choose the name of the podcast. We were thinking that we wanted something where it was going to be a me and you thing, right? Because it was a 50-50 split between both you and I. We wanted it to have kind of a catchy thing, and we didn't want it to be so focused on me and you.
Yeah.
For instance, we could have just called it, Josh and John.
Yeah.
Or, of course, John and Josh. That would have been way better.
Yeah, not as good, but like the Josh and John show, the Josh and John whatever.
No, John and Josh.
Yeah, Josh and John whatever. I mean, I hear you.
As long as my name's first. So, that was too obvious and too plain. And so we just thought, what was something that both of us had that were complete, not opposite, but something that I don't really know a whole lot about music.
Yeah.
Especially metal.
Right.
And then I dare to say that you don't know a whole lot about miniatures.
Nothing.
Okay. So
nothing.
In my mind, when we were choosing, right, we're like, this is totally you and me, two kind of opposite ends of a spectrum.
Our worlds colliding.
Right, coming together and making kind of a gumbo of shit.
Yeah, and also, sounds delicious. The other thing was, I kind of like with different band names and things like that, how it really, really has nothing to do with the podcast. I mean, I guess it could eventually, but I mean, really, really has nothing to do with what we talk about. A lot of podcasts will have it titled with something that they're going to talk about. Like, I think there's a podcast that's something to do with like old video games, and it's like called Old Video Game Podcast or something.
Okay.
I could have just made that up, but I think that's something what it was. But they talk. That's all they talk about.
I feel the same way.
Okay.
I think that having the name of the podcast and not the podcast necessarily being about metal and miniatures, or metal miniatures, as some people think.
Yeah, right. If you type in YouTube and it's like metal miniatures, it's like little miniatures that are metal.
Right. I like that. The name is supposed to kind of represent us and how different we are from each other, even though we see eye to eye on a lot of things. Just not Goon.
Right. Just Goon, the awesome movie.
Okay. Why did you want to start a podcast, Josh?
Okay.
Tell, give us your infinite wisdom.
I'm trying to see how I can put this in so many words. So, first of all, you asked me.
I did.
You did ask me to do the podcast, and even before we were doing this, I would think of podcast as something that's as this day and age, and everybody's doing a podcast.
Yeah, we're a little late to the party.
Right, seriously. And my thought was, like, a few things. First of all was, I'll get to why I wanted to do it, but right now I'll tell you all the infinite reasons of why I didn't want to do it. So, first of all was, I'm kind of an introvert. I keep things to myself, and I really don't let it all out there, unless it's like on the guitar, I really don't let, even I don't post, as we talked about in another podcast, I don't post things on Facebook, anything like that.
Yep.
The other thing is I have few friends that do podcasts, and they do great at it, all more power to them. But then I see that, and I'm like, man, like if someone else does that, it's just like another person doing a podcast. And that, I think that's kind of why I want to make it different. Why I decided that I'll do it was a few reasons. One is you're very convincing. I see that beard, and I'm like, how can I say no to that? That's one reason. Secondly is before this, I never really listened to any podcasts ever, except for I started listening to the Nerdist podcast. If anybody knows, that's what it's really good, and it's just a great podcast. I'm like, it's kind of just like hanging out and talking, and it's pretty fun. So I thought, okay, we'll give it a try. I'll listen to it, and if I hate it, then we can forget it. And I was like, all right, well, we can make coherent conversations. That's why I got into it.
That was one of my selling points to you, though. I said, hey, just try it out with me.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you hate it, we'll
delete it.
It dies, not a big deal. But if you like it, then we'll just keep going, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll have a dozen people that listen to us.
The way you put it, even if we have a dozen people and that's it, or a couple people,
it's still
fun. It's still fun, and somebody's listened to it. So,
yeah.
But I really want to know. I kind of know, but I want you to tell me really why you want to do it, or bring the idea to me.
I've wanted to do a podcast for a little while. I am not an introvert. I'm an extrovert, right? And I'm a social butterfly. I'm loud and obnoxious, and I have very strong opinions on everything, and I just thought that it would be really fun to be able to use a podcast as a tool for expression. I've done the writing bit. I played around with making videos, and that sounds really awful. Okay, so experimented.
No. Go back to these videos. What video? I'm intrigued now.
No, we're done with the videos.
Was it like something like on Chat Roulette or?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah. Anyway, and I kind of figured out that even though I might have been able to carry a conversation or a topic by myself, I don't think it would have been nearly as interesting unless I was the only one listening to it, since I love listening to myself.
You would love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I knew that in order to actually get a podcast going, I was going to have to find someone that, number one, that I liked and that was interesting, and number two...
Well, thank you.
And number two, someone that was different enough from me, where it wasn't just like a circle jerk, an echo chamber. That's a better.
I guess a better, like metaphor. More like politically correct.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Circle jerk isn't even right.
That's fine.
An echo chamber. So, and when we became friends, it was pretty, at least to me, evident from the beginning that, man, this guy is a lot like me in so many ways, but so different from me in other ways.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of what makes an interesting friendship. And then on top of that, you and I are just really good conversationalists. We'll be driving in the car or hanging out or whatever, and we could bring up any topic.
Yeah.
We could bring up anything, and we could have what I think is an interesting conversation, even if we don't know a whole lot about it. We can try to think our way through a topic, and they're always, our conversations are entertaining to me, so I wanted to, maybe they're going to be entertaining to other people. Which
is a good way to look at it, because when I looked at it, we do have good conversations that are interesting, but then I'm like, oh well, why does anybody want to listen to that? But after doing it a few times, like, okay, we can find some interesting topics to talk about, and I think that's why we kind of wanted to do a jack of all trades, clearly master of none.
Clearly.
So I think that's kind of what we wanted to accomplish there. So
the jack of all trades, master of none thing, I think it goes kind of back to all the different kind of conversations that you and I have had up until the point of starting the podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I'd like to think that you and I are Renaissance men.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that we have expertise in multiple subjects, but that we know a little about a lot of things. Do you know what a different name is for a Renaissance man?
Hit me.
A polymath.
A polymath?
Polymath. Yeah. I just blew your mind with something intelligent.
So we could have.
And we're not polymaths.
I was
to think that.
Well, I was gonna say that could have been the other name that we could have named it, the polymaths.
That would have been sweet.
But too late. So oh well. Maybe next time.
Someone out there, one of you 5 out there, you
can any one of you 5.
Yeah,
feel free.
I thought that us knowing a little bit about a lot of things would actually benefit in a podcast where our topics were going to be anything and everything. Yeah,
and I think kind of back to all the different kinds of podcasts. If we have a podcast every time we do it or whatever with a completely different topic, I should hope that it would be a little bit more interesting. All around, not necessarily that other podcasts aren't interesting that are on specific topics, but let's say you have like certain topic or certain podcasts like on game, like old games like that one I was talking about, or anything else, like each week it's going to be the same, interesting probably, but this gives it a little bit of variety, I guess.
I totally agree. We talked about this, like our marketing scheme or whatever.
Yeah. That fart really stinks. No, not my fart. No, that was totally your fart. I usually own up to it and let people know a little more about me that I have a sick stomach. Oh, this is staying in there. I have a sick stomach and it's bad, but that was your brand, mister.
I haven't farted. I swear.
You did.
I did it.
We could go back and listen to the tape. It was like
that's the shit.
No. Oh, man.
Okay.
Well, then it leaked out. Okay, I'm sorry, as you were.
What were we talking
Marketing.
about? Oh, yeah. Our marketing idea was that we think that most people have an interest in a variety of topics, and so we wanted to be able to kind of cater to that. More people would be interested in multiple topics that more or less everyone could kind of relate to.
Yeah.
And so we thought, for the most part, our topics are going to be about pop culture or current events or something like that.
Yeah. Really, nothing really off limits.
Let's actually talk a little bit more about some topics that interest you. Not specifics, but maybe topics in general that you want to touch on in the future. Maybe.
Okay. As far as like, and again, we try to make it all open, but different topics. Oh, we discuss some, like talking about different fears in your childhood, different. I don't remember.
To broaden that out, we could just talk about psychology.
Yeah, psychology topics.
Kind of like the human experience.
Yeah.
In fact, you studied that in school.
Yeah, I did study. So, I definitely went to school and got grades and. But I do find it really interesting. Anything about the brain, I do find really interesting, and like we said before, like pop culture stuff, anything that's relevant, like this podcast about podcasts, pretty relevant.
Well, it's about our podcast, so it's not super relevant.
Well, we are a podcast that amongst other podcasts, so I guess it's relevant. But
good point.
But yeah, there's multiple talking, and I'm sure you have a few that you'd want to go into.
I'm into current events, things that are affecting society.
Yeah.
So I studied politics for my degree, and so that's kind of like a sprinkling of everything social sciencey.
Yeah.
And so anything that kind of affects society as a whole or as smaller groups is really interesting to me.
That's like a sociology thing right there too. Yeah. So that's really interesting to me as well.
We can talk about pop culture, not just current events, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've talked about doing some podcasts about some like entertainment industry stuff.
That's right.
So we've already done like Netflix.
Yeah.
But
Facebook.
But we have other ideas dealing with other parts of entertainment.
Yeah.
All of its aspects. We're interested in that also. And we know that other people have interest in it, otherwise it wouldn't be there.
Yeah, and whether or not we like it, pop culture is everywhere. It's all about what's relevant now. I was just thinking about it the other day, like how not everybody, but it's sad how much we think, like how much celebrities kind of matter. I guess there's no other way to put it, but how much they matter. Like you learn about a different, what a celebrity's doing or whatever. And you're like, oh wow, I had no idea. That's crazy. Like, or this celebrity just had a kid, and I was like, actually, I really don't care, really. Like I care if a friend has a kid or something, but it's a celebrity. So we just thought it'd be interesting that to talk about that kind of stuff. And I think we even had an idea down the road of talking about like top 10 dumb celebrities or whatever. We have different stuff like that.
We have a list of like 40 or 50 topics. Some of them are complete duds.
Yeah, they could never.
We were just spitballing when we were coming.
So you're saying that was a complete dud? That idea was a complete dud. In so many words.
I think another important question for us to answer to the 5 people who might be listening.
Okay.
If there's 6, I apologize.
Yeah, to that 6th person, we care about you too.
We care about everyone who listens to us, by the way. And I might add, we really appreciate those people who listen to us and have given us feedback thus far.
Yeah, and I appreciate them because I totally understand going to a podcast of people you don't know, even if it's a friend or something that and just like listen, why am I going to listen to them for a half hour? So if anybody is listening, I think it's awesome. So
I feel thankful.
Yeah. Right? Oh, thankful? Is that? I don't feel that feeling very often, so I think I feel it.
I am grateful. Okay, another question that we should answer to the people who might be interested in listening to us is why in the hell should someone listen to us?
That's a great question.
Right? Why do we matter?
Yeah.
What makes us
worth listening to?
Yeah.
Or
why
are we so special?
We're bringing to the table of podcasts.
Why should you be wasting your time listening to us rather than wasting your time watching House of Cards?
That's not a waste of time.
I know. I don't even know why I thought that one, but that's the last thing I heard about before I came over here, so that's what came to my mind. So let's say something else like watching My Little Pony or something.
Right. Okay.
No, you think that's not wasting time?
I was just gonna let you make your point.
But anyway,
before the night ends.
Before the night is through. But yeah, why waste time on that? Do you have an answer?
I do. Do you not?
No, I will after you.
Okay. Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. It's because I'm kind, not because I have to get my thoughts together.
Okay. If you say so. I think that, people have to understand that I've already said that I'm overconfident, brash, extrovert.
Okay.
And so I already think more of myself than I probably should. But I think that my voice, personally, is worth listening to on topics that matter to everyday people. Because I think that talking about things is the way that we kind of grow in our intelligence.
Yeah.
And I'd like to pretend that I'm above average intelligence, right? So, and I think that, my opinion might not be unique, but it is interesting to listen to opinions.
Yeah.
And I think that about everyone. So I like listening to opinions that disagree with me.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's the best thing to hear disagreements.
Right. And so just the idea of there being an opinion out there, on something that might interest me.
Yeah.
I think it's worth looking into from my perspective.
Yeah.
So coming from my perspective, this podcast is worthwhile because it's not only just one opinion, it's 2 opinions.
Yeah.
Right, from 2 different people. On top of it just being interesting and it might help you learn something. Heaven forbid we actually
yeah.
But also, I think that you and I are entertaining because of the way that we interact. We have good mojo. Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, I bust up laughing when I think about our past conversations.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so egotistical. Maybe we're really stupid and awful.
It could be. I don't know. But to really answer that question, why listen to us? And I mean, I think it's good that we're opposite because, again, with starting it, I'm like, why would anybody want to listen to this? But when I think about it, kind of going off of yours a little bit too, but I think it's really good to listen to something. That one was me. So I think listening to something, even while you're doing something and finding an interesting topic makes whoever's listening think about it too. Kind of like you said, like it actually provokes thought, and that's what we want. Is we want us to have our opinions, but like you said, we want other people to have their opinion too.
Agreed.
And it could start up a conversation with someone else. I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, I think listening to you good conversationalists, and things like that. But like listening to me, I have a hard time thinking that, but I think that we have interesting enough topics, and when we talk about it and how we are really different, it actually is good, kind of a good mix. So I think it's just in general having a good variety of topics and a good banter is pretty good.
I think that a major selling point in our podcast is the idea that we're trying to be the jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to topics. And so if fans or followers of the podcast have a topic that they would like us to address, I'm all game for hearing them out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's a whole lot of topics in our list of 40 or 50 that we must talk about those.
No.
They're must airs.
Yeah, we're open for any kind of ideas. We'll pretty much talk about whatever.
Yeah.
That's why we like to do the jack of all trades and try to make it interesting, I guess.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about you or about our podcast? Or
there's usually things I like to talk about when it comes to me, or at least think about me.
Okay.
But as far as the podcast, we don't necessarily expect hundreds of people to listen to. We don't care if it's 10 or 100. We just want anybody who finds it interesting to listen to. So
agreed.
That's pretty much it.
Well, this kind of brings us to the end here. Like I said, we really appreciate everyone. So please listen to us. We promise that we're gonna keep this going as long as we have our free time available to us.
Yep.
And stay tuned for more interesting topics.
So we're gonna blow your mind.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.